Okay, so here is the last chapter of the core study of DSE biology. Chapter 30, we talk about evolution and also natural selections. It is developed by the Charles Darwin in the 1858, okay, 1858. Okay, actually the name should be pronounced as Charles Darwin, and also it should be evolution instead of evolution. However, because of a very interesting teacher, so I prefer to call it in that way. Okay, so in conclude, there is 8 words to conclude. That is 物競天擇，適者生存. And recently, there is a quote also using this particular quote. So if you understand Chinese, you can have a look. So it's related to COVID-19 and also the vaccine. So it is not particularly correct, but anyway. So first of all, let's be clear about Mr. Charles Darwin. Okay, so there is known that in his bedtime conversation, he once said that how I wish I had not expressed my theory of evolution as I have done. So he seems to be regret about the evolution, and he seems to be a Southern Christian based on this conversation. It is not involved in DSE. However, there are many people quoting this particular dialogue in saying that evolution is incorrect. However, based on truth, okay, most likely truth, okay, this is what he actually said when he is dying, okay, to his daughter. I'm not the least afraid of death. Remember what a good wife you have been to me. Tell all my child to remember how good they have been to me. Okay, so this is to his wife. Okay, and also it is almost worthwhile to be sick, to be nursed by you. So it is to his daughter. So in short, Darwin didn't suddenly become a Christian before his death, and he seems not to be regret about evolution. So I would like to make this very clear. So it's not about DSE, but for truth. Okay, science is for truth. So before Darwin's, okay, there is a person called Lamarck, okay, Lamarckism. So he tried to explain the world based on the environmental change. He believes that all the organisms will modify their structures to meet the needs, okay? So they will acquire the traits and they will pass on to the offspring. So using the giraffes as an example, so indeed the giraffe should be short neck at first, but then they keep scratching their necks, and then their necks become longer, and their offspring inherit these traits, and eventually we have giraffe. Okay, so obviously there is a problem. What is the problem? So you try to stretch your hands, you try to stretch your neck, and then someday later, maybe your neck or hands is a little bit longer, but will this trait be passed on to your son? I doubt it very much. Okay. That's why we come to Darwin's, okay? For Darwin's, he first come to the land of evolution. There is the Galapagos Island, so it's somewhere near Mexico and also in the American regions. So he developed his theory over. So he has an observation about aves and their beaks. Okay, there's the birds and also their beaks. So he observed that there are different beaks for different diets and also functions. So he hypothesized that there is an adaptation to the food source. And comparing to the artificial selection, there is a natural force behind it. So he observed that the organism will produce more offspring that are needed to replace themselves. So the population is somewhere stable. So the individuals should compete for the limited resources for survival. So you have the first 4 word, 物競天擇, struggle for existence. And when there are struggles, we also understand there are variation exists among the individual of the species. As they compete for the resources, the individual with favorable traits are better adapted, which means that they will survive. This is the survival of the fittest, 適者生存. And some of these variations are inheritable, and then the individuals with favorable traits are better adapt and they have a high chance to produce offspring, and eventually the proportion of the individual with the favorable traits will increase. So let's go back to the giraffe example. So using the Darwin's, okay, we believe that there are both short-legged and also long-legged giraffe. And then as the grass died because of water storage, and the giraffe were forced to eat the leaves on the trees. However, for the short-legged one, they die because their legs are not long enough, while the long-legged one have a higher chance to survive. So they will pass on their traits to the offspring because they can survive, while this one unfortunately died. And later on, it becomes all the giraffe become long-legged, okay? And based on the Darwinism, we also develop new Darwinism, okay? The new Darwinism means that we use the concept of genetics, that is the allele frequency, incorporate into it to explain the phenomenon. And for the term new, which means the new, it is also used in the matrix series. So he is Kilolivus and he is called new in the series. Why he is called new? Because he means new. So this is the reason behind his name. And is there any example about natural selection? There is a famous example called the pepper moth, and you can play this web-based activity. You can simply type in pepper moth and web-based activity, and you can taste how selection is actually done. And also there is a resistance in bacteria and also the pest known as the DDT, a very toxic chemical, and it actually affects the reproduction of the birds. So if you would like to know more about it, you may have an extended reading of the silent spread. And also another example of the natural selection is the sickle cell anemia. You may notice this disease in the genetics, that is, the patients suffer from sickle cell anemia and they may have shorter life and also they have a painful experience. However, why people will be a carrier is because of the advantage of being a heterozygous. It can work against or fight against the malaria, commonly found in the Mediterranean region. And lastly, we'd like to talk about speciation. So let's recall what you have learned in chapter 28. A species is a group of organisms that can interbreed and also produce fertile offspring. So why we have different species? A possible reason is because of the geographical separation, like a mountain suddenly form and then the population is separated into two particular regions and they are experienced to different environmental conditions and they will evolve differently based on the natural selection of the new situation they are exposed to. So they will become two species. So finally, I would like to introduce a famous guy to you all, that is Sir David Attenborough, shown that in this particular photos. To me, he is the god of biology because he has the voice share of a lot of important biology documentary, and he also comment on important issues. So here is a comment about the future of Earth. Okay, it is surely our responsibility to do everything within our power to create a planet that provides a home not just for us but for all lives on Earth. So I hope all you guys will remember what he said and spend some time reading or watching his documentaries. I'm sure that even though they are not directly related to your DSE, but I'm sure you will learn a great lesson and become a better person based on his show. So this will be the end of chapter 30, but at the end of the day, so life is not just about DSE, but what really matters. I hope reading all these intensive videos and through Sir David Attenborough, I hope I can give you some insights, and hopefully we will see you in the elective. So here is an extract on the Year 8 document. So previously we talked about the origin of life, that the evolution, and now we talk about the speciation and also natural selections. So this will be the end of the core section, and I hope to see you guys in the elective regions. Okay, see you guys. Bye.